we even get started, first of all, let's do some housekeeping. Hit the like button. Come on in, hit the like button. Second of all, guys, you haven't subscribed to Keep It Techie yet, go ahead and jump over to his channel and hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that subscribe button. More than like, he's bigger than I am. So you are already more than likely, everybody has already subscribed to him and so forth. But if you haven't subscribed to him yet, go ahead and jump over there and subscribe to our brother over here. But let's do this. Let's start it off with this, man. So, brother, Keep It Techie, man. Tell, for the people that don't know who you are, for the people that don't know who you are, tell people who our brother Josh, aka Keep It Techie, aka Database Administrator, who he is, man. Tell people who he is, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Okay, so first off, shout out to everybody here. I'm glad to actually be here on your channel. Like I said, Anton, I definitely appreciate you doing this interview. But I'm Josh from Keep It Techie. I created a channel called Keep It Techie, and this was, a couple years back. It kind of started off as a project or a way for me to follow my journey learning the Linux operating system. I had already been working in tech, and let me start off with that as well. So I got into first thing I did was I joined the military after I got out of high school because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when I got back from active duty, basic training at IT, I decided to go to a college, and it ended up being Remington College, which they had a computer networking program. So I said, hey, let me just hop into that. I've always been, kind of interested in playing around with computers. At the house, my parents had a computer and a computer, lab at school and all that stuff. I would always be in there just playing around with it, but I never took it as something I can actually get into until that point. So hopped into that school, got an associate's degree, and that got me my first job in IT, which ended up being a systems administrator. And so I've been doing that since around 2008 is when I first got my first job in IT. And
that's a long
yeah,
time, man. So
yeah.
I'm apology for a second, KIT. I
Go
want
ahead.
you to continue to keep cooking. So you went into the military. What branch of the military did you go into, brother?
Oh yeah, I went into the Army.
Yep.
And I joined the Army Reserve. So I did a total of 14 years. I deployed, went to Kuwait, Afghanistan, did all that, military stuff. And the reason I joined the reserves is so I could come back home. And that's one of those options that a lot of people don't talk about when joining the military. You can get into the reserves or the National Guard, and that'll allow you to come back home. You won't be on active duty doing it 24/7, and you only have to show up, one weekend a month and like 2 weeks over 2 weeks over the summer. A lot of times they go out for training. And I don't want to sound like a recruiter. I'm not trying to recruit a bunch of people into the military, but it is a viable option, and it allowed me to benefit by them, paying for college, paying for school. And that's one thing I left out when I brought up the school I went to. The military actually paid for it.
See, that's dope. So it's awesome, right? Because part of our community, Josh, is this, right? A lot of men have that military background as well too. Like they went, into the military. They did their duties, their service, and thank you for your service too, brother. By the way,
Appreciate it.
and are you still in the reserve? Are you still active reserve member?
No, I'm actually out. I got out.
You got out. Okay, but a lot of people got their start by going into the military and taking advantage of that, serving our country, becoming a stand-up citizen, one of the world-class citizens, right? I think highly of military people because they got their stuff together. A lot of them have their stuff together, but then they make the transition to tech, which it sounds like you did as well too. So
Yep.
You got out, you went and got your associate's degree, and what made you want to get into tech? Did you do tech while you were in the military, or was it just something that you said, I got to figure out something that I need to do? This is kind of the future. Like, what made you get into tech and then go to get your associates into the tech world?
And to be honest, man, it's kind of crazy. I I didn't expect to go into the IT field at all. I didn't do it in the military. I joined as a automated logistics specialist, which is a 92 alpha. That's basically, you working with the supply chain
Okay.
at the
Yep.
end of the day,
Yep.
and for the military, and so I did that for a while, and people would always talk about the things that can transfer from that job, or the types of jobs you can get out in the civilian world with that background in the military. And it always, ended up being like, oh, Walmart, or you could be a manager at Walmart or something like that, or just working in a warehouse or something, because that's essentially what it translated to. That job from the military kind of transferred to like warehouse work, or supply chain, basically.
Yep. Distribution,
And
distribution,
yeah,
logistics,
distribution.
all that stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, you're absolutely right. I say this, Josh, right? Like, that's the world I come from. Matter of fact, when I first started in the tech world, we did the implementations for the warehouse management systems for these large distribution centers. So I'm used to seeing forklifts. I'm used to seeing receiving docks. I'm used to seeing shipping yards. I'm used to seeing these cold storage rooms and all this other stuff, right? So that was my life. And matter of fact, the warehouse world, it is almost like vampires, because you have to be there all day, or put like this, shifts are like 12 hours.
Yeah.
It could be hard work, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're absolutely right, but it can certainly be hard work in the civilian world as well. But if you get to the management level, you can make a whole bunch of money. I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
especially in logistics, being a warehouse supervisor, or a warehouse manager, or a general manager of a distribution center, working at one of the DHL's warehouse or something. Like, you can make a whole crap load of money. Those guys can make up to $200,000-$300,000 a year. But go ahead, continue on, man.
Yeah.
Continue on about your path, and from not wanting to do that to getting to potentially tech.
Yep. So I was like, man, I got to figure out something. And like I said, I've always been one of those type of people that played around with computers, and I also did a lot of um work, because I worked at a hardware store as well.
Hmm.
And so building things it came kind of natural to me, especially with the way my dad, showed me, everything I could do with woodworking, working with metals and stuff like that. And um like I used to make speaker boxes back in the day when I was when I was when I was in high school. I used to make the speaker box, put with the ports in them and all that stuff. So
12,
so to
12
make
to
the
10.
bass come out. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so
That's
I've always
dope.
been
That's
kind of good
dope.
with my hands, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And so I've always been one of those type of people that can take things apart and put them back together. And the same thing, kind of applies in the computer world, or messing with computers. Like I didn't I'm not gonna sit up here and say I was taking computers apart and put them back together, because we only had one family computer.
Yeah.
And if I messed that thing up, my parents was gonna be upset. But I did understand how to actually use it, and I became very proficient with actually using a computer, typing and all that good stuff. And so when I saw that program at Remington College, I was like, hey, I mean, it looks like a emerging career. I see a lot of jobs out there for it, and especially in the military side, I would see, a lot of the guys that went in to the military for computers, and those guys were getting bonuses. I didn't get a bonus coming
Mm,
in, but those
mm,
guys were getting bonuses, and they were getting certifications once I started hearing about it, and trying to understand it. Because in the military, I did work a lot with what they call a S6, which is the Army section within a unit that manages communications,
okay.
basically. So I
Okay.
did a lot of help with those guys, and that's another reason I got interested in it, because I would see those guys messing with the computers, and I was like, hey, I'm good with computers, you know what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, you should probably hop into this area. And so that was another reason I hopped into that course. I completed it. It was in computer networking. It wasn't that difficult, and I kind of missed some. I wasn't one of those. I didn't do well in high school.
Hmm.
Let me say it that way. I mean, I just wasn't. I was an average student. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get no scholarships, you know, and all that stuff. So I had to pay for school. And of course the military paid for it, but I wasn't I wasn't a very smart guy, so to speak, or I was just an average student.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons I went to Remington College, because my test scores weren't good enough to get into a traditional college
Got it.
without taking a whole bunch of high school courses. Well, this afforded me the opportunity to hop right into a program, and so and I just wanted to throw that in there, so and so people would know that is an option to get into one of those technical schools or boot camps if you're not that great. If you didn't have the test scores or you didn't graduate with a high enough GPA to get into a traditional college.
Yeah. Well, I say this, Josh, right? Like you weren't the only one that talked about how the military has helped with your education. Master I.T said it. Brother Jabron has said it. There's so many people that talk about how they've leveraged the military to to upskill. And Brother Kamal right now, he's stationed in Japan. He's a Patreon member of ours, just like you are. And he's getting his education while he's in the Navy right now in Japan. Right. So I love that part about our armed services, allowing for people, to get education, whether they're in it or out of it as well, too, and helping, to upskill and so forth.